Welcome back, viewers at home. Now, our guest is an individual with a passion for inclusion, innovation, and community development. Joining us tonight is Sipho Dlamini, who has become a leading voice in advocating for a more equitable future of technology. And through that, he is able to execute that through his organization called Township Tech Talks. Now, this organization is dedicated to addressing the digital divide in South African townships by fostering meaningful dialogue and collaboration between tech leaders as well as community members. Good evening, Mr. Dlamini. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
Now, before we get to, I know that you're hosting your very first event, and I'm sure a lot of people who saw the advert are so excited to be a part of. Can you tell us a bit in terms of what truly inspired Township Tech Talks?
Okay, I'm Sipho Dlamini, as you said. I grew up in the township,
Yeah.
lived there all of my life. I was fortunate enough to pursue my studies in information technology. And I've been working in the information technology space for a good number of years.
Yeah.
And it gives me a interesting perspective on how the township works and the realities of the advancements in technology. So I've been in spaces where these technological tools are talking about, for example, your artificial intelligence, your machine learning, all those big terms, but I've never heard the township context. So what was in my heart was that, what about the township? I'm not hearing enough of the township in these conversations. Yes, there are organizations that speak about the broader Africa and what AI can do in the broader Africa, and including our indigenous languages in these AI tools. But then there's the township, specifically the township where I grew up in,
Yeah.
So the question was for me, how then do I bridge that gap between the great advancements that have been done in technology and the township, the place where I grew up and I'm passionate about,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Outside of the lingo, what would you say were the most pressing issues that really gave you sleepless nights to say, you know what, I gotta do something, and hence we are here with Township Tech Talks?
The digital divide, because as much as we talk about artificial intelligence,
Yeah.
in these spaces, but the question would be, what about the person in the street? Do they know how their jobs will be affected because of these artificial intelligence tools? So for example, CVs, simple thing like creating a CV. You could just type your CV in and just send it through, not knowing that when you send it through, there are AI tools that are used by organizations to scan
Yeah.
your CV. So the community needs to understand that I need to write my CV in a certain way that will actually speak to these tools that will be scanning through my CV. So the greatest part of it is the digital divide. Yes, we're hearing the beautiful things that IT is doing on one side, but what about the spaza shops? How can they use technology to help them optimize their businesses? How can they use technology to help them transact? Is it just a thing of taking a coin and putting it in a Tupperware? How do they record those transactions? Are the ERPs available for spaza shops to speak to their daily transactions? So that's where my passion lies. Yes, we are seeing these hubs popping up in Soweto, but where's the Wi-Fi? Where's the infrastructure that will help people access these AI tools? So that's where my pressing issues are: the digital divide and the infrastructure problems that are currently there.
The unfortunate part that the digital divide has existed for a long time, and I think we took it to say it's a thing of schools, Model
Of
C
course.
schools, and your other schools. But now I think when you grow up, you understand that you get someone who matriculated, yet they don't have no relationship with the Word document.
Yeah.
And I think now you're highlighting the idea of a CV. Imagine if somebody doesn't have the if the being familiar with technology, how can they then be able to type out that CV unless they're writing it down? And I think now this makes me wonder, seeing that the issues relating to some of the things you highlighted, infrastructure, we're looking at education and that of access. Looking at Township Tech Talks, are you focused on a particular issue, or you address a range of these issues collectively?
Okay, so what we do at Township Tech Talks is we create a space for dialogue. We believe that having a space for dialogue will spark innovation. Having a space for dialogue will give people information that they didn't usually get. So, for example, for this coming event on the 25th of October, we'll be speaking township-based businesses and how they can use digital tools. We'll be speaking to students. We'll be speaking to industry experts. So there's all of these facets that we're putting together and not specifically focusing on one. But also remember that we are at the beginning of this phase, and ultimately there are things that we'll be doing in the future that will speak directly to the people's needs. So for example, we are planning to have hackathons. We are planning to have hackathons. We are planning to have innovation summits where we challenge the community that, okay guys, you know your challenges, create solutions that will speak to your challenges, and we'll put you in front of people that have the capital to invest in you. So for now, we are looking at a range, a number of topics,
Yeah.
but with actionable items. It's not just a talk show, but there's actionable items that will come out of that.
And with that, it makes me wonder, oftenly when we see things come out, there's this inclusion word that's always being marketed. But when you look in, the element of inclusion is not really there. And I just want to find out from you specifically tonight in terms of when we are talking inclusion in technology, what does that mean for township and that of marginalized communities?
It means getting the people from the township in these rooms. It means creating technology that matters. It means, for example, I talked about the innovation challenges. It means challenging the people from the township and telling them that, guys, create solutions that will benefit you and will put you in front of the right people that help invest in those products. Inclusion means that we don't just create these great solutions in our boardrooms, but it means that bringing the gogo, bringing the student, bring the university student, it's good for marketing. It's also good for understanding the people you're designing for. It's always good to have the right people in the table, right people in the room, so that your technology speaks to the people you're catering it for.
And Mr. Dlamini, with that being said, looking at what you just shared now and what exists already, and I'm believing there's so much planning and research that went to this event that's going to be hosted. I want to find out from you in terms of, for those watching and who are inspired to do better, be better, how can we exactly define meaningful dialogues and ensure that meaningful dialogues actually take place and collaboration between tech leaders and community leaders or community members that across socio-economic groups actually is existing and it's impactful?
Partnerships. Partnerships, that's the key. Partnerships between public sector, partnerships between public sector and private sector and NGOs. Because I can tell you now, there's a number of organizations that are in the community, either creating labs for high schools, either helping children how to code, So there's a number of initiatives that are there. So I also understand that government and private sector can't do everything.
Yeah.
That's why we need them to fund these organizations, because these organizations specifically focus on those areas that need impact.
Yeah.
So collaboration is key. Let's have the private sector, let's have government, let's have the NGOs. Partnerships between those three structures will be great to advance and speak to inclusion. Yes.
And seeing that in speaking, or rather enlightening us on what inclusion in the township would look like, I would like for you to just remind us about the event that's taking place on the 25th of October. What attendees can expect? Will there be workshop? Just walk us through the itinerary of the day.
Okay, we have a great lineup on the 25th of October.
Yeah.
There'll be key speakers from renowned speakers, people that are in the game, people that are working with these things, from researchers to executives to CIOs. We have them as key speakers. We also have panel discussions, panel discussions that will be dissecting technology in the spaza shop, for example, or the kasi economy, panels that will be discussing AI and data, AI and data use in order to transform the the township, because my thinking is that there's so much data in the township, data that could provide a lot of insight, but who's collecting that data? Data still needs to be collected, so we need to be intentional about collecting the data so we can directly speak about AI initiatives that will reform this data and give us great insights. Then we also have a panel on bridging the digital divide, where great people that will be talking about bridging the digital divide, what um, things that what things can be implemented to ensure that the digital divide is bridged. As I said before, this is not just a talk show. We need actionable items, and we're challenging the people that will be there, that take something and do something.
Yeah.
Don't just be there for vibes, but take something and do something. And it's also an opportunity for people to network.
Yeah.
Other people will see from afar. We admire them from afar. But what we are doing is bringing those people closer, and we're saying, hey, student, hey, entrepreneur, hey, tech entrepreneur,
Yeah.
here are the people. We are putting you in a room with them, talk to them, get the insights, ask the difficult questions that will help you advance.
And seeing that we are shortly running out of time,
Yeah.
and E15 is slowly approaching, E1 is in Lulile, 25th is
Yeah.
about to approach. Those who are getting paid to know what to fix and how much to budget, can you please take us through in terms of the costing of, being part of that event? And also, lastly, what is the long-term vision slash dream for Township Tech Talks? Are there any, partnerships or collaborations that you are actively seeking to strengthen this impact of, bridging that gap between, the what exists with regards to, the tech division?
Okay. Great thing is the event is free.
Oh, nice.
The event is free. Um, as I said, it's on the 25th of October at UJ Bunting Road campus, School of Tourism and Hospitality. So the event is free, but you need to register so that we know the numbers that will be there. We do have limited seats, so we need to understand the data, and know when to stop. And I guess the ultimate dream for Township Tech Talks is to ensure that we have the technology conversations with the township in mind. We bring the people from the town, from El Dorado, they need to become part of these conversations. From Mdeni, they need to become part of those conversations, and we need to ensure that they have the necessary tools to help them advance. So if, for example, they have a business, they need to know that there's an AI tool that will help me market my business very quickly. There is an AI tool that will help me write my business plan, have my value document put together. So those are the things they need to know. And what will give us satisfaction is just seeing that transformation. It's a very big and ambitious dream, but we are just striving towards it, and we'll do everything in our power to ensure that we start initiatives and we create dialogue and ensure that in each and every dialogue there's actionable items, and we challenge the people that are listening to create something out of the dialogues. We need them to create something, and they need to come back to us, tell us, hey, thank you for this great conversation. I created this amazing application. Then we give them a platform in the next session. So that's our ultimate goal. That's our ultimate goal.
Mr. Dlamini, thank you so much for joining us tonight and really sharing with us what, Township Tech Talks is truly going to offer for so many marginalized communities. Because at this moment, as you're mentioning, when people are using AI and presenting it to the township, it makes them seem like they're miracle workers. Only until if they understand that actually it's all about prompting correctly or just typing correctly to get that instant results or instant solution in that sense. But thank you so much for really joining us and sharing with us how exactly you're advocating for a more equitable future in the world of technology. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you for having me.
Viewers at home, that was my guest, who is the founder of Township Tech Talks, Mr. Sipho Dlamini, who was sharing how exactly he goes about advocating and how exactly he is using this inclusion township. It's not just a word to market, or it's not just a word to reel you in, but it's a word that is going to be quite impactful, and hopefully it will, impact generations to come. Let us all speak tech. Let us all know tech and not feel like, there are miracle workers out there. But for